Testing, testing, testing. Hopefully this is good.
Hey, and welcome to the last collection connection of 2021. We're wrapping up the year, just playing another round of that game. That's just an excuse to talk about records. In Eric's last video, he talked about Electric Wizard, the first album from Electric Wizard. He has talked to me about them before, but as he mentioned in his video, they got started in the 90s. So even though the name of the band and the cover of that particular album feels like super 70s, they're from the 90s. I guess it took an album or two for them to really kind of get into the stoner vibe that they became more known for, kind of a heavy stoner rock or metal. So, wasn't necessarily my favorite thing, but you know, it is what it is. And if you love it, good on you. I was going to try to connect it to the fact that the band, the album, and a song within the album were all called Electric Wizard, as apparently is maybe the case with Black Sabbath. I should have looked that up before I started here. And I know that Bad Company has a song called Bad Company on their album Bad Company. So it happens here and there. But I could not find a trifecta. So I was going to go with Talk Talk, the first Talk Talk album, which is called The Party's Over, which does have a song called Talk Talk. I also could have gone with They Might Be Giants, whose album Flood has a song called They Might Be Giants. So I was trying to just come up with a band that had a song named after the band, or the same name as the band. And I was working on that Talk Talk video. Very excited to talk about Talk Talk, finally. But as I was looking at them in my iTunes, where I have all my artists sorted alphabetically, what caught my eye is just above Talk Talk was an album that immediately made me think of the Electric Wizard album. So rather than going from the band and a song with the same name as the band, I switched over to the album, which was also called Electric Wizard, and thought about the fact that a wizard is a character class in Dungeons and Dragons. Never played Dungeons and Dragons, but it is one of the starting classes, I believe, of Dungeons and Dragons, as is the fighter or warrior. And so it just tickled me so much to see sitting right above Talk Talk some T.Rex. And so I decided to connect Electric Wizard, the album, to Electric Warrior from T.Rex. This is 1971, so it's older than what I usually go for. And in fact, it was an album that I went back to, like way back when, early in the year, when we talked about Big Star, my experience with Big Star. I went through a period where it felt like I wanted to get to know better the music that fed into the music that I loved. And it was around this time, because I think this was brand new. I took it as a sign that I should buy it. And this reissue is from 2003. So that's probably about when I bought it. So I bought a few things from the 70s. Bands that I'd heard of a lot, but wasn't overly familiar with. Like Big Star and like T.Rex, who I had knew by name as sort of a progenitor of glam, is what my understanding was, and it may have been more a visual thing. I figured, what am I going to tell you about T.Rex? You know, I don't come from a position of any knowledge, and this is a band that the people who love T.Rex know a lot about T.Rex. but I think it was maybe more in the presentation of how Mark Bolan presented himself in the kind of maybe slightly feminized, androgynous kind of way that broke more ground than the music necessarily. And so I figured what I would do was look at Electric Warrior from the perspective, my perspective, of somebody who kind of reverse engineered their way to it. I understand that if you have somebody who, took a picture with their telephone in 1981, you would be less impressed because you can take a picture with your phone. And, hey, I take pictures with my phone 20 times a day. And so it's harder to appreciate just how maybe out there of an idea that would be in 1981. I think similarly, it's hard to discern what groundbreaking elements a band like T.Rex brought to the table when you have been living with sort of their offspring who have taken and refined what they did to some other level. And so I haven't listened to it that much. These homework records, I call them, tend to not win me over as far as becoming like favorite records. But it's not bad. It's not bad. And I like the songs fine, but it surprises me how sort of low energy it feels. That the glam, if that is indeed where it was headed, is more sort of sultry and not as brash and kind of out there as I think of glam. I think of glam in kind of a New York Dolls-ish sense, or the kind of things that Bowie was doing. And so the fact that it's so kind of low key, the dynamics there's not a ton of dynamics there. I like Mambo Sun. Even so, my primary point of reference would be the Power Station's cover of Get It On, Bang a Gong, or as it was originally called, Bang a Gong, Get It On. The Power Station flipped it, I guess, for their cover. And when Robert Palmer sings like the verses for Get It On, Bang a Gong, it's like he's singing through gritted teeth. It's like he's restraining himself from this, this feeling that he's got coming over him before it kind of rips into that chorus, Get It On, Bang a Gong. But the original is much more kind of sleepy and, just kind of slithery than it is punchy. And the singing, is almost more whispery than belted out. So it's strange, and so I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that if it was groundbreaking at the time, it's harder to recognize that going back to it. It's just harder to appreciate things that you've come to take for granted, sort of. And having somebody say, well, this is the first time this was done, it just doesn't seem as important or groundbreaking as if you were there, maybe, and felt kind of the ground shift while it was happening. But Mambo Sun, I enjoyed. Jeepster, I would say, and maybe Rip Off are the two times where it feels like maybe Mark Bolan was fully awake for the vocals. That's got a little more rah and growl to them, and kind of full-on delivery, less slithery. But at the same time, if I get my songs right, I think like Planet Queen feels like Mambo Sun again. The Motivator feels like Bang a Gong again. But it's not bad. I enjoyed it. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of variation, and it felt very low key to me. So more of a low-key sexy than a look at me, I'm hot stuff kind of sexy. So that's sort of my impression going back this week, listening to the album a few times. Um, uh, yeah, it's good, but I don't know that it would ever become a favorite of mine because, um, well, just because, I guess. Um, the bands that they influenced, sorry, there was a bang that startled the crap out of me. The bands that I have come to listen to, I have maybe taken what Mark Bolan and T.Rex offered and run with it in a way that makes, I don't know, just makes it hard to appreciate. So anyway, I'm blathering. I should probably wrap this up before year's end. And you can look for Eric's response to my video. He will connect. What am I even talking about? He will connect this thing to an album in his collection. And that thump really threw me off my game. And so, yeah, look for Eric's response on Monday in the new year on his channel, The Plastic Soundwave Cult. And I hope you have a great new year. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.